All right, let's go ahead and start. So Nico, go ahead and share your screen and we'll get started with our information about FEA leave cash-in.
Thumbs up for the screen sharing working. Do we start, Kathy?
Yep, go ahead and start. You'll just go through this and then let me know what you need from questions. And for all those who are on here listening, if you have questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat box and we'll try to address those as we're going or at the end of this presentation.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Nico Herbert. I am the Director of Accounting Service and I directly supervise the payroll department who processes your paychecks every 2 weeks and will be withholding any 403B contributions on your paycheck. Kathy Port is with us from Human Resources. She is the Assistant Director of HR and she supervises the benefits team. And Sandy Ryan, FEA President, is here with us as well. I think there's some other, Teresa Polson is with us. I'm not sure her exact title, but she supports Human Resources. So here to present about the sick leave contribution to 403B. This is currently only available to FEA Tier 3 members. What I wanted to state before we go into this is that this presentation is only for informational purposes. We cannot provide tax advice or legal advice to you. If you need tax advice, legal or accounting advice, we highly encourage you to reach out to our community's got several certified public accountants or lawyers that can help you make decisions that support your needs based off of what type of goals you have for your situation. So we wanted to discuss what is a 403B at first to make sure everyone kind of understands some of the basics. So what is a 403B? A 403B is a retirement plan established for the benefits of employees of public schools. They are plans that accept payroll deductions to participants that have self-directed investment accounts. They can meet your long-term objectives for retirement income. How does a 403B plan work? It works by contributing salary reductions or deferrals. They are placed into your participant-directed accounts. They are limited by the Internal Revenue Code, depending on your age. And these investments grow tax-free until withdrawal. So how much can you contribute? If you are under the age of 50, your annual calendar year contribution limit is $19,500. If you are over the age of 50, there's an additional $6,500 catch-up for a total of $26,000 for the calendar year 2021. So what are some of the possible advantages of choosing a 403B? A 403B's contributions for the school district purposes are tax deferred, meaning that you get to reduce your federal tax at the beginning. Your investments will grow with time and compounding. Depending on your tax situation, you may be eligible for a tax savers credit. You may be eligible to withdraw these funds as early as 59.5. And if you run into any hardships, you may be able to use these funds to pay for things before retirement. The next piece we wanted to go over is what is outlined in the FEA union agreement. Paragraph or Article 112 supplemental retirement accounts states that Tier 3 teachers may contribute up to 3 sick leave days annually at their per diem rate, up to $350, according to the following guidelines. If you have accumulated 100 hours of sick leave, you may be able to request 1 sick day to contribute to your 403B. If you've accumulated 200 hours of sick leave, you'll be eligible to cash in 2 days of sick leave to your 403B. And continuing the trend, if you have accumulated 300 hours of sick leave, you may request to cash in 3 days of sick leave to your 403B. Next, we wanted to discuss how would you get started with a 403B if you have not already set up an account. The biggest step is choosing a vendor. You want to research a vendor and find someone who has the products that you want, that the costs are reasonable to you, and meet the services that you're looking for. The bit.ly link here will take you to the Omni's Fairbanks North Star Borough School District's page and lists the several available vendors for a 403B. And if you have any questions about which vendor is best suited for you or which investments to make after you've set up your 403B, we encourage you to engage with a financial advisor. The next step, once you have set up a 403B account, is you must complete a salary reduction agreement. This is on the Omni's website. This must be completed. Omni verifies that all of the information is accurate, that there is an existing 403B account for them to forward the funds to. Once they approve that salary reduction agreement, they then forward it to the payroll department, who will be able to start withholding those contributions. The important thing is payroll cannot withhold funds from your check until we receive this SRA from Omni directly. In order to follow up the setup process, depending on if you were doing this as an individual or using a financial advisor, making sure that whichever vendor you've chosen, that your account set up. If you have questions about where Omni's at with your salary reduction agreement, they have a track forms feature, so you can put in your information and see where it's at in the process. And then you can review your biweekly pay stubs, and you should see a 403B withholding to know that the contributions are being withheld from your paycheck. Tracking your progress. It's employees' responsibility to track the progress of their goals of their 403B account. So if your circumstances change and you want to increase or decrease your deductions, you will need to submit a new salary reduction agreement to Omni to make those changes as needed. Right now, a lot of employees already have SRAs, possibly for reoccurring contributions, and want to understand how best to fill out a salary reduction agreement just for this sick leave cash-in. So we're going to walk through those steps. On Omni's.
Nico, let's get into the questions.
Okay.
Sandy brought them to my attention that there's a couple questions in there. So let's, as they come up, I think let's take this one, and I'm not sure. Is each sick day worth 7 hours from a person's sick leave bank?
Yes. FEA members work 7 hours a day. So 1 day is 7 hours.
And then Sandy, can you answer this next one? How many sick days do FEA members get each year?
Sure, no problem. Let me back up on Nico's answer for the 7 hours a day. That's if you have an FTE of 1. If you have a different FTE, in other words, full-time equivalent, if you're a full-time employee, that means that you work 7 hours a day, not 7.5, because you have that 30-minute duty-free lunch. And so it's based upon the number of hours that you work per day is how your sick leave is calculated, as far as the number of days that you can put in. So if you're a half-time employee, it's going to be 3.5, etc. FEA by state, we follow state statute. It's 13 1/3 days is what's awarded, and they're front loaded per negotiated agreement.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay, so go ahead. Thanks, Nico, for letting us pause you.
Okay. So in order to complete a salary reduction agreement for contributing your sick leave to a 403B. On Omni's website, underneath employees, you'll want to choose the 403B salary reduction agreement form. It's going to ask you if you want to make a reoccurring contribution or a one-time contribution. You want to select a one-time contribution. Then it's going to ask for information on that contribution. So underneath plan type, you will want to select 403B. Your investment provider is whichever vendor you have opened up your 403B account with. Enter your account number for your 403B. For this year, you will want to make your effective date May 3rd, 2021. The amount of your sick leave contribution, and we will get into that a little more in the next slide. And then if you have a reoccurring contribution, you can just tell Omni whether or not you want them to discontinue your reoccurring contribution after this lump sum, or if you want them to resume it.
So, Anika, there's one more question here, and it says, if we need to open up the 403 by May 1st, and the process through Omni takes 2 weeks, do we even have enough time to do this before the deadline?
It really depends on the vendor as well. So if you don't even have a 403B account open yet, it depends on how quickly the vendor can get your account set up and Omni to process it. We've had luck getting the SRAs sooner, but 2 weeks is worst case. So the dollar amount you want to write in on your salary reduction agreement depends on how much your daily rate is. So if you open up your most recent pay stub, it will show you your daily rate. So for example, the employee on the left, their daily rate is $273.14, meaning that one sick leave day for them, it will be worth $273.14. So if they're contributing 1 day, that's how much they're going to say as their contribution. The example of the employee in this pay stub, their daily rate is $377.03, but per union contract, the maximum amount is $350. So one sick leave day for them is $350. So the amount that they will want to enter on the SRA is $350. So was there a question?
Yeah, there is a question. And this, if we already have a 403B account and submitted the sick leave withdrawal request already through the district, do we need to do anything else?
Yes. Your SRA is for a reoccurring contribution. If you want the full amount of your sick leave contribution to be contributed, you need to complete the salary reduction agreement for that one-time contribution effective May 3rd, 2021, and then direct Omni on whether or not you want your reoccurring contributions to continue or to cease.
Okay, we have another question here, Nico, and it says, so if you do it for 1 day, it's and you're maxed out at your $350. But if you're tier 3 and you have your 300 hours, you could 350 times 3 for those 3 days. Is that correct? So in this
Yes.
rate, this rate, if someone is tier 3, they have over 300 hours, they can contribute 3 days at $350 a piece. And if I didn't answer your question, give me another, put it in there again.
So what's the timeline for sick leave contribution? These are some important dates to know. Payroll needs your submission of your Google form by May 1st. We are going to review the requests as of May 1st, and we are going to check your sick leave balances as of the pay period ending April 25th to see if you're eligible for the number of days you've requested. On May 5th is when we need to have all of the forms from Omni to start setting up all of the employee deductions. And that gives us 1 week to get everything set up in order to include the sick leave contribution to a 403B on the paycheck that will be issued May 14th. Some of the questions that have been coming in to payroll and benefits, we have 3 frequently asked ones. The first one is, what is my current salary reduction agreement? If you log into Omni, on the main menu, there is a contribution profile that you can select. And underneath this, it shares with you information such as your details. It shows your year-to-date totals, your account balance. The section you're looking for is the contribution profile. This will tell you what your current salary reduction agreement is on file with Omni.
So Nico, we have another question that's come in, and it says, if we already have an Omni account set up, we've previously made contributions, and we completed the district form to request the sick leave contributions, do we also need to complete the form in Omni, or will the district submit the information to Omni?
Payroll cannot contribute any funds to Omni if Omni doesn't tell us to withhold them. So if you complete the Google form, but do not ask Omni to do that one-time contribution on May 3rd, 2021, we will not be able to send those funds to Omni. That's kind of our second FAQ, is what if I don't have a 403B or SRA? So as you were filling out the Google form, it asks you to acknowledge that in order to receive the sick leave contribution to a 403B account, there's 2 things that must happen. There must be an active 403B account, and payroll must receive that salary reduction agreement from Omni for that one-time lump sum contribution for that pay period. Without that, your sick leave will not be converted and cashed in to contribute to a 403B. Instead, it will remain in your sick leave balance to be used next year. And then the last FAQ we've been receiving is, what if I ask for 3 sick leave days to be contributed to my 403B, but I do not have the enough accumulated hours? Payroll will automatically adjust if you have enough hours for 2 days, but if you have no sick leave accumulation to receive 1, 2, or 3 days, but we have a salary reduction agreement on file from Omni, we will have to withhold those funds from your regular salary pay. So if you know that circumstances have changed since you submitted your Google form and your salary reduction agreement to Omni, I encourage you now to contact Omni with a new salary reduction agreement and have them cease that contribution.
Nico, we've got another question in. Can we put these into our 457 instead of our 403B?
No, the currently sick leave contributions can only be contributed to a 403B.
So that's our presentation on 403Bs. If you have, looks like there's another question, and the question is, where do I find the link to the Google form?
Find the link to the Google form. I closed that.
Nico, that's been mailed out already, correct, earlier?
Correct. The email went out from the payroll department on April 7th. I am going to try and find the chat here. And I am putting the Google Forms link in the chat for all the participants. And that email was only sent to Tier 3 teachers. So not all of FEA received that communication from the payroll department on April 7th.
Sandy, my computer has froze. Can you ask the rest of those chats the questions?
Yeah, thanks. me see. I was looking for the form too, thought I got it in a separate email. And so I'm going to ask you guys to send that to me also, Nico, instead of me listing it and doing two things at once, because I'm not good at that with Google Land. 350 a day. Okay, we're down to that one. If I already have an Omni account set up, we previously made contributions. We completed the district form to request the sick leave contribution. Do we also need to complete the form? Yep, we covered that one. Got the link to the negotiated article 112 supplemental retirement account. The district will match employees' contribution up to 1% of the employee's annual salary into the employee supplemental retirement account. The teacher may choose from any combination of the following method contribution if qualified. A, all teachers may contribute up to the cash out value of their personal leave annually at their per diem rate up to $350. Teachers may contribute half days. I believe what Ms. Baxter is asking is how does this work with cash in for personal leave? And this particular webinar is about sick leave in particular. Ms. Baxter, I should have something coming out in the feedback. I'm hopeful tomorrow about the process for both the sick leave and the our tier and our personal leave as well. So hang tough, more information coming. I think it's going to be very similar. If I remember correctly from last year, it was a similar process to what's being described here. And hopefully Nico's nodding her head and saying that's the plan. Okay, yeah, I see a nod. That's good.
We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, Sandy.
Yeah, we have
Like
a meeting
10:30
in the morning. It's just getting the moving pieces together to make sure that we're all on. Yeah, it was on the Google form before, Rebecca. The last year, the Google form we had was like, which one do you pick or which combination? And then, you know, it directed you to pull the funds. And so it's just a little bit different. I think this year, I think it's being done in 2 steps. I don't know if that was because there was confusion or not. If you need to give me a call in the morning, I'm in budget stuff for the rest of the afternoon. That's all I see as far as the chat.
So there's a couple more. Mine's unfroze.
Okay, good. So can you explain the difference between this and sick leave? Let's talk about personal leave separately, Rebecca, because this one's about sick leave, because I think that's what you're asking. Oh, I answered it. She's answering my question. Got it. Yay.
And then Paul has a question about with the district matching up to 1%. Does the sick leave contribution help towards that? So
Yeah.
if
Yes, it's the 1% match. So if you put in your 403B X number of dollars and you're not quite there on the 1% of your salary, then the sick leave contribution counts towards that, and you can use the sick leave contribution or personal leave contribution, either one, for that match.
are there any other questions? Let's just give it a second in case anybody has any more questions. And again, the last slide that Nico had up. So if you have questions, feel free to call benefits. Feel free to, or email benefits@K12 North Star. Feel free to email payroll@k12northstar.org, or feel free to contact Sandy, and she'll help walk you through this process. And then there is one more question, and do you have to do anything extra to set up matching by the district? And Nico, if you could also explain when that matching is going to show up, because we've been getting emails, the benefits, when it's going to show up.
We are going to process the FEA 1% employer match after the final payroll to make sure that all the funds have been deposited from employees' paychecks and that their contract has been balanced, so we know what their 1% is. Some teachers aren't able to finish their entire contract, so we have to wait till the end of the contract year in order to determine what the 1% match is. But employees do not have to do anything in order to request that.
And then where do you find the Omni login password?
If you already have an Omni account, you would need to choose, I'm let me see what it's called on the Omni's website. When you go to the secure portal login, if you have a 403B account, but you do not know how to get into it, I suggest clicking trouble logging in. And that will probably ask you a few questions in order to determine you are who you say you are, and they will send you your username and or help you reset your password. That is a separate account that the district has no control over. It is your personal account. We cannot help you reset that. You're welcome, Paul.
All right, so I think with no more questions, we do appreciate those of you who joined us today, and we will have this posted on the HR website. So if you know of people that wanted to attend this or need more information, they'll be able to watch this at their leisure. And again, feel free to contact benefits, payroll, or Sandy Ryan. All right, thanks for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.
Teresa's going to go ahead and end the meeting.